So how long have you been involved in music education?
Well, much like you, I became really interested in music about the age that you guys are. But I very vividly remember going to my mom when I was in 8th grade and saying, I have had it, I'm done, I refuse to play this instrument anymore. And she looked at me like only a mother can look at you and said, we bought that instrument, you're going to play it, end of conversation. And that was in 8th grade. And by the time I got to 9th grade, I was something changed in me. I had a fabulous teacher who to this day is still a great friend, But something changed in me and I got it. I mean, it became alive and from then it's been my whole career, my whole life, and I feel blessed. I love it. So I've been doing this professionally as a teacher for probably 34 years.
What's your favorite part of teaching music?
Some people might think, it's something like the concerts or the trips, or being involved in some big, shindig, the Pops concerts or whatever, something like that. And the joy for me is the constant. Oprah calls it the wow moments, but the joy in it is it's almost sort of the constant looking and digging with students or with whoever you're playing with, because I play in some adult groups too, for that inner beauty that music can give you. And you can find it in the most subtle ways. You can find it in working in the 5th grade clarinet section. It doesn't have to be the Pops concert. It doesn't have to be a tour to China. You can find it in the subtlest ways where you go, wow. Where you go. Sometimes I refer to it in rehearsals as those spine-tingling moments. And hopefully, you don't necessarily get the spine tingling all that often where you go, wow, this is so neat. But those moments where you've connected with something inside you that you can't even put into words, but it connects and resonates with you in your heart and in your soul and in your being. And it doesn't have to be big and fancy. It doesn't have to be a concert or a tour or a performance. It can be sometimes sitting alone with your instrument. Sometimes it can be working with 5th graders and finding that the reed buzzes. I mean, and you gotta go, neat. I mean, you can just see it and you can sense it, and it's those moments. And they happen all the time. But that's what, you're constantly looking for those moments.
How is music education important to a community?
In ways that most people don't understand. As much as I hate to say that, but it's part of why the people who get it need to keep saying how important it is. Because a lot of times it's real easy in our society to think if it doesn't make you money, it's not good. If it doesn't have enough political clout, it's not good. If it doesn't have some of the extrinsic things in life, it doesn't carry as much worth. But the intrinsic things that you get from music are beyond measure. It's like, how do you categorize what having great friends means? People who you enjoy being with. And music, it can be a great friend. It can be a great friend that you can share things with. You can make music in this tiny little room and have wonderful experiences, but you can also take your music to other people, and in the best of ways, you can share it in a really neat way. And so, for a community of people to understand and get that as an art form, that it's a gift and a blessing. It's pretty powerful. You know, some of the great philosophers of yesteryear would say, don't judge a country by its power, judge a country by its art. And you look at the things that still last decades later or centuries later, a lot of times it's art.
In your experience, how is getting involved in music helpful to children or young adults?
Many different ways. Like I often tell students when they're in fourth grade thinking about even signing up for band, you never know what's going to resonate with you until you try. For those of you who are in music and love it, or like I often would tell my high school students, let's drop a scenario for just a second, that for whatever reason, the school system just said, sorry, we're no longer going to have music as part of our day. Can you imagine what that would do to you guys? Now, it doesn't necessarily resonate with everyone in the same way, but for the people it does resonate with, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of them, just in our community alone, between bands and orchestras and choirs and all grade levels. For those that it does resonate with, just the thought of not being able to find that part of them is really unnerving. So, you know, you put it out there. For some people, it resonates in the arts, whether it's music or theater or visual arts or whatever. For some, it might be in an academic course of like history or math or English, and for others, it might be in an athletic field. But you, as a well-rounded community, you want to let people find themselves in the ways that resonate for them.
Music as an extracurricular does take a lot of time and energy, and oftentimes money. And in your opinion, is getting into it seriously still worth it?
The extracurricular piece of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that happens is we are in a performing area, and we have the luxury of being able to share it. You know, some other art forms don't share quite as easily with the masses. It's both a blessing and a curse, because sometimes, you know, people go, oh, do we have to go out and play for this? But, you know, the flip side is that we get to, in music, go out and share it. And so it's really important for us to not just do it for ourselves, but to get out and share with people. You know, we can bring a lot of joy to people through our art form. And in fact, many years ago, there was a gentleman who we got a call from when I was sitting, this is probably 20 years ago, I was sitting as the high school band director, the phone rang, and he says, I see your band out in the football field and you're marching in jeans and sweatshirts at that time. And he called up and he said, I'd like to help you out. And I thought, well, what do you mean help us out? And he says, monetarily. He says, I'd like to buy you new band uniforms. And I went, holy smokes, you gotta be kidding. He says, I will match dollar for dollar any money that you can raise in the community for new uniforms. So those marching band uniforms that you see on the football field, those concert uniforms that you see at the high school, all of those uniforms, we fundraised for about $30,000, and he paid his own $30,000 so that we could have uniforms in this community. So when you get out and you play for people in an extracurricular type setting, you never know whose heart you're going to touch.